Hello everyone, so today I'll be talking to you all about veneer grafting, which is grafting to the side of your rootstock. Usually I interchange between cleft grafting to the top and veneer grafting to the side, but there are situations where doing a veneer graft is more applicable than doing a cleft graft. Situation number one is where you don't have uniform growth to the top of your tree. To facilitate a cleft graft, as you can see here, and cutting lower down in the tree where the budwood could actually fit properly with a cleft graft would result in you having no leaves lower down to sustain life of the seedling. Situation number two, the top or middle of your seedling is not thick enough to match the thickness of your budwood, and cutting lower down would result in a similar situation. You don't have any leaves remaining to sustain life of the seedling. Situation number three, you already tried a cleft graft to the top and you had to cut it off because it was a failed graft, and cutting anywhere lower down now to facilitate another cleft graft would result in you having no leaves. You see we remain with one leaf here. We need to preserve this leaf, and to preserve this leaf and graft again, we would need to do a veneer graft to the side. Situation number four, you already have a variety grafted to the top of your tree and you want to attach another variety on it. Now the veneer graft would be more applicable here. On the other hand, you could wait until the top of your rootstock branches out. As you can see with the first one here, if you leave it to grow out enough to sustain the size and thickness of your budwood, you would have 1, 2, 3 different grafting points on this plant. But we are not going to be waiting so long to do that, so instead we would be grafting to the side here. Now the first thing you need to do is get your budwood, your piece of mango in this case, from a mature bearing tree and remove all the leaves. Reason for choosing a mature bearing tree is to ensure the variety would be grafting and to ensure the quality of the fruit. So a tree that has been bearing already, you know that you have good fruit on it and you want that replicated in your seedling, so you choose pieces from a mature bearing tree. Besides that, once the tree is mature and bearing, this piece is a mature part of a tree, which would become the main part of this tree, thereby speeding up the maturity and bearing time of your seedling, right? So you cut in about 5 inches and you're selecting a location on the seedling that it's fitting comfortably. So to the back here, I have a nice comfortable fit with this side facing the plant, so this is where I'd be doing my cut. Usually for the veneer graft, I like to make my cut about 2.5 inches long, and you would be cutting slightly to the top where you started and then to an angle, a slight angle, where you would have a thinner part to the bottom of the cut. One smooth cut would be nice. As you can see here, up here is thicker, down here is thinner. And then I just like to make a little chip on the other side here to create an angle like a wedge, so that it will help seat this more comfortably on the rootstock. Now we match it again to see where it's fitting really nice and comfortable, and then we see that would be the location we'll be using, right? So here now on the seedling, you're making a very slight cut. You're just removing part of the bark to facilitate the length of the cut you made on the budwood, right? As you can see here. And then we're cutting off most of it and leaving a little flap. Reason for the little flap is to help seat the piece that you will be attaching. And then you get your piece of grafting tape or plastic with a little stretch. You seat this comfortably here. And you wrap from the bottom to the top. A firm, nice wrap that would keep the graft exactly in place. I usually leave a little peephole to the top for the new growth to push through, right? After doing this, what I like to do for more success is clip off part of the top where you have the younger growth and leave. You must make sure that you leave some leaves on it, but all the top buds has been cut off. So now the tree would stop focusing on the top here where it had young leaves and focus some of its energy on the lower piece that you grafted here, right? Now, in instances where you already have one grafted to the top and you're afraid of cutting it because you want this piece on the top to remain here, right? You need to ensure before you make your cut that it have buds lower to where you're going to cut that would push new growth. So as you can see, I cut the top in this one here, but I have buds catching lower down, right? So this variety that I had here already would still be alive, and lower down here I have the other one living as well. Now when doing this for plants that you already had grafted, right, and you attach another graft to the bottom here, you would like the energy that the plant, the seedling, is sending up to be uniform between the first graft and the second graft, right? You don't want all the energy to be focused growing the top part while the second graft you attached is getting less energy, less attention, and less growth, right? So to uniform the energy that is being pushed from the seedling, you clip off part of the top here where it was focused, and you would have uniform growth between the two. So you need to now monitor these and ensure that you have equal growth. So as you can see here, I have a lot of growth happening on the top here, and below here on this piece here it's not growing as much. So I'll just take off one or two of these now so that some of the focus would be on your lower graft as well. Okay, so the veneer graft is actually simple. It's just as successful as the cleft graft, but there are situations, as I highlighted before, where the veneer graft would be more applicable than doing the cleft graft, right? I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Once I can answer, I will answer it. Enjoy your lockdown and take care, everyone.